IELC Tamil interview with Renuka Inbakumar and Kalyani Inbakumar in Australia, Sydney. The reason that we are actually here today, International Human Rights Day on the 10th of December. They had an exhibition on that day, and I'm kind of keen to understand what happened on that day and how it was received by the people in Sydney. It is very important for us to let the people know. Recently, I've been talking to analyst Arus, and he was talking about outside Sri Lanka, outside Asia, not many people know what has gone on and what is happening in Sri Lanka. So this is very important from that perspective to make the people aware what is happening to Tamils in Sri Lanka. So I have Renuka Inbakumar and Kalyani Inbakumar. Let me welcome on behalf of IELC Tamil Radio, Renuka Inbakumar, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
And Kalyani Inbakumar, welcome to the show.
Thank you for having us.
Human Rights Day and the narrative of genocide. On Human Rights Day, Renuka Inbakumar, spokesperson for the Refugee Council, delivered a powerful statement asserting the existence of ongoing genocide against Tamils, tracing its origins from 1948 to present day. This speech reignites the debate surrounding the historical persecution and systematic human rights abuses faced by the community. Her address highlights the critical need for international recognition and re-intervention regarding the long-term suffering and continuing struggle for justice, self-determination, and protection of the Tamil identity in Sri Lanka. Let me come to Renuka. I know you're very passionate about the Tamil struggle, and you're a final year law student, and you have been tirelessly working to make the people aware of outside your community is absolutely commendable. Please tell our listeners, on the day you had an exhibition in Sydney, tell us how that exhibition went and who attended the exhibition and how it was received.
So Tamil Refugee Council had the dinner on the 7th of December to commemorate the 10th of December International Human Rights Day dinner. So in that dinner, we held an exhibition which had almost 968 big boards from 1948 to 2025, explaining the ongoing genocide that's occurring in Tamil ய-இலங that's been inflicted by the Sri Lankan state. For Tamil Refugee Council, we really wanted to showcase that this genocide isn't just machine guns, artillery fire, and cluster bombs. The genocide is systematic. It's within the Sri Lankan constitution. It's within all forms of the Sri Lankan state. We wanted to showcase that after 2009, there is still genocidal actions that's been inflicted on the ய-இலங Tamils. And we've been noticing that journalists are not able to actually showcase what is happening on the ground. The mothers and fathers have been protesting for over 3,000 days for their enforced disappeared loved ones. And this was an exhibition that was overwhelming. It just filled the first room. And so in the first room, we had, all the guests, and it expanded onto outside in the hallways and into another room. That's how many boards that we had. And not many people have done this around the world where they've shown the ongoing genocide from 2009 to now. So we felt very proud that we were able to do that. And we didn't just do that with Tamil Refugee Council. We did it with individuals in Tamil ய-இலங who designed the boards and helped us make the titles and translate some of the boards in Tamil. We had almost over 200 guests attend. And it wasn't just ய-இலங Tamils, it was individuals from the Bangladeshi community, from the Iranian community. We had Labour for Refugees attend. We had politicians attend from the Greens and from the Labour Party. And we had lawyers and professors attend as well. And some of them were able to speak on the ongoing genocide that's been occurring in Tamil ய-இலங, but also showcase that our genocide is linked with other human rights violations that have been occurring around the world, such as Sudan, such as Palestine. And we as య-இலங Tamils tried to show that by being able to talk with other groups, we're able to have our dialogue be open in the international space. So we found that a lot of individuals who are from Tamil ய-இலங found that they felt that they were being heard for the first time. And we also wanted to showcase that Tamil Refugee Council isn't just an organization that does rallies. We're an organization that knows how to talk with politicians, and we're an organization that actually showcases genocide for the truth, and we don't whitewash anything for the sake of trying to be safe with politicians.
I can see your passion. You talk the truth. That's what I've seen over the years when I talk to you. Thank you, Renuka. Kalyani, those who have attended, Renuka was talking about 960 billboards were put up. Surely there was a lot of information. What were their views around what they saw on that day?
I think views, and after the actual event, I've had many emails from people who have actually attended and them wanting to collaborate with Tamil Refugee Council and do more work. And also the fact that many of the people who attended did not realize the amount of atrocities that are taking place even now in the ground. People think that things are sort of getting better, things are not as bad as it used to be. But when we put all this information together, and Renuka and all of us took the politicians through the billboards and explained things to them, it came to light that things haven't really changed. It's just not being reported as much as it used to be before. So, and the fact that we were able to bring this out into the open and bring a dialogue, and the politicians to be able to come back to us after a couple of days and tell us that we need to get this out in the open. How can we help you? So it has definitely started a dialogue, and it has definitely sort of shown us that we can take it to the next level. And, you know, and it is important, like Renuka says, speak the truth, use the correct terminology, use the word genocide. When we invite politicians, when we invite people to come and speak at our forums, we may ensure that they do not use certain terminologies like civil war, that they do use words like genocide. So we can educate them, and they'll be quite happy to sort of follow if you tell them the truth and ask them that these are important terminologies that we want them to use.
Thank you. Renuka, let me come to you. You mentioned, Kalyani also mentioned about using the correct terminology, genocide. How can the Tamil diaspora effectively leverage this official statement of Human Rights Day to unify international political pressure and influence foreign policy and ensure that this narrative of systematic persecution and the call for self-determination remain prominent on the global human rights agenda?
So definitely that we need to remember that in 2009, it was the peak of the genocide. There was no war. That we didn't have a war on our homeland. We had a peak of the genocide, because if we look at the genocidal definition, everything the Sri Lankan state has done fits into that word. And genocide is an ongoing situation that we've been facing because it comes through all forms: cultural, through legislation, through archaeology, through cultural forms. It comes into, like, when we're looking at the boards that we made, there was a point where in the GCE exams that was being held in the North and East, they had said that our freedom fighters were terrorists. What fits in the word terrorism? And we had our leader's name in that question. So these are the forms of genocide that's been occurring. And when we're talking about self-determination, we as ய-இலங Tamils do not fit at all in the Sri Lankan constitution. It doesn't matter who is in power. It doesn't matter if they claim to be leftist. They do not support any form of self-determination. And the only forms of ய-இலங Tamils to live peacefully is if we do achieve a two-state, one-island solution. Because reconciliation does not occur without any international mechanisms being implemented in Sri Lanka, because internal mechanisms have not worked at all. There has not been one case where an ய-இலங Tamil feels that they have achieved freedom or they have achieved self-determination. It is only through international mechanisms, and that is through if the UN or if the international courts do recognize us as a separate state, because we have been. We did establish our own legal legislation. We did establish our own policing. So we did achieve a separate state at one point. So we as the youth, as a diaspora, do have to carry on the dialogue that genocide does occur, and we have to explain that reconciliation is not any form has been achieved. Because if it has been achieved, if it has been achieved, then the mothers and fathers should have, instead of clutching the photographs of their lost ones, they should be clutching the actual, human beings that they have lost. And that has not been achieved at all.
Very interesting that you talk about the genocidal act, and also the correct term needs to be used, what has gone on from the Tamil perspective. Within the community, whether it's the politicians or other organizations, they are all reluctant to use the term genocide. Apparently, that term has a wider meaning, and it's much more difficult to prove that there's been a genocidal act took place in Sri Lanka. I know you're very passionate about this, and you are a law student. What's your view on that? Is this something that we should ignore the genocide and just focusing on war crimes and crimes against humanity?
I definitely think that obviously politicians are not going to use the word genocide, especially those who have very close relations with the Sri Lankan state. But genocide, people believe that once you bring in the word genocide, it does cause other nation states to be responsible. And sadly, other nation states are responsible. Australia is responsible, UK, US, India, you name it. So genocide, because it's such a big definition, that's why individuals are fear of being, of them using that word. But it's us as, Tamils, we should be using that word proudly. When I mean proudly, I mean we need to be saying the truth, that genocide did take place, and there is an intention. Because if you look at any of the past presidential speeches or prime ministerial speeches, they do explain that they defeated terrorism and that there's a form of reconciliation. But if you look at what's been occurring on the homeland with actions, those genocidal actions as well, such as recently, only a few days ago, a 23-year-old man was killed in Batticaloa because he was an activist and spoke up against the Sri Lankan state. So if that's not a genocidal act, I don't know what is. It's not a crime against humanity. It's not a war crime at all. This is not a war. Because if you look at Palestine and Israel, they were able to push the word genocide when Israel was using phosphorus bombs. But in 2009, we were the first genocidal attack that took place in Tamil Eelam in the 21st century. We were the playground for all the other individuals in the world to follow through and not be caught. We had phosphorus bombs be dropped. We had those who surrendered be killed and executed. We have photographic evidence. We have video footage that's being shown around the world. So we do have all that evidence, and we do have the proof of intent. It is up to us as ய-இலங Tamils to use the word genocide so that politicians themselves are in fear. If they don't use the word genocide, they lose the Tamil vote. Because we can't keep playing the ground where we have to please politicians. That's not how it works when it comes to dialogue of self-determination. We have to actually please those that are in Tamil ய-இலங, being the mothers and fathers, and actually speak the truth.
Do you seriously believe that Tamils can prove that the genocide did happen?
I generally do think we can prove it, and there is proof. When I was doing the research myself and completing the boards, there were so many forms of genocide that I was in shock of as well, such as journalists being taken, abductions still being taken place, children being killed, soldiers coming into the north and east and changing the curriculum, mothers and fathers dying without seeing their loved ones. There are so many forms. It's just up to us to be able to use the correct information and take it to the correct people. And then we're able to prove that genocide did and is continuing to take place.
So what is stopping us from doing that?
I definitely think it's Tamils being selfish. I'm just going to be upfront. I'm a Tamil youth, and I have been witnessing that Tamils are being selfish in the fact that they're wanting to please the colonial aspect of society, in the fact that if we please politicians, they will come to us and then we can open the dialogue. And I do definitely think that Tamils like to, not talk about the truth because it's like a secret box. Because once we talk about the truth, we do have to talk about, our freedom fighters. We do have to talk about the fact that we did have a separate state, that we do have our own flag. And it's Tamils who are wanting to continuously just please politicians and please the white society. And that's just not going to work. And I think through that exhibition that we showcased, I was very clear in the fact that there is misinformation occurring in society. There is internal sabotage happening, and that's just not okay. And that is what's stopping us. And I'm going to be upfront. That's what happened in 2009. It wasn't just because the Sri Lankan state came from all sides in the north and east. It was also our people who betrayed each other at the end. And we have to learn from that. And in 2008, when our leader warned us that we have to be upfront and we have to talk about the truth. And he actually said that in his Mavidinal speech in 2008.
And Tamils learn from that?
I feel like those who are in this cause for the right reason can learn from that, and definitely will have to face a lot of backlash. But I think if we believe that, once we did have a Tamil ய-இலங, we can achieve it in the future. And I think definitely having a strong backbone will help us achieve that. But for now, there's not many who have a strong backbone.
Thank you, Renuka, being brutally honest about your thinking and your thought process as to, what's going on, what has gone on. Kalyani, there's been a talk where over the years we had regimes where genocidal act on Tamils. There are consensus now is that the regime has changed and their approach is different. Why do we need to take this further? What's your view on that?
So when Renuka was doing the research the last year, 2025, we were really surprised about the amount of atrocities and amount of actions against the Tamil people that were taking place in the north and east. We ourselves was very surprised. So even with the regime change, we feel nothing has really changed. And can you look at a mother who has been looking for her child for the last 16 years and tell her, forget about everything that happened and just get on with life now? Who has the heart to say that? These mothers and fathers have been protesting and trying to find their children that some of them have handed over to the army themselves, trusting that they will be questioned and released. And they're still looking for them 16 years later. I mean, would I be able to do that if that happened to my child? And what gives us the right to tell the people in the ground, forget about it and just get on with life? If they are happy to do that, why are they still protesting? Why are they still wanting? Why are they still agitating? Why are they still wanting to know the truth? I don't think that.
Yeah, as you probably know, the forced disappearance parents have been protesting for the last 6 years. During the time, they have lost 200 of parents who were in and out of the street all the time protesting. That was highlighted back in 2024, I believe, in UN. The protest and justice for them has been a highlight. Why do you think that their protest for the last 6 years has not been able to materialize in such a way to be able to make an impact to the international community to look at the Tamil situation and start some kind of a investigation to be able to
honestly feel that we have been spending too much of time speaking about the atrocities that have happened to us within our community? All the Tamils, us speaking about it, us talking about it just within our community and not taking it outside. And sometimes what happens is when we are trying to do work, we get dragged into this internal politics within the community. And our energy and our thoughts and everything is spent too much on trying to sort that out instead of taking our problem out to the global community.
Right. So why Tamils can't stop that and go beyond their boundary?
I think it is because we need to also acknowledge the fact that there are other communities who have gone through or are going through what we are going through and work with them as well. instead of only focusing on what happened to only us, what happened to only Tamil people. It's happening in Palestine against Palestinians. So we need to work with all the other communities as well. And with the youth, I think it is important that we focus on all the other atrocities that are happening around the world, and they're educated about that as well. So we can all work together instead of us only working with the Tamil community. I think that's important. I think that is one of the reasons that I find that our problem is not taken out into the global community, because we are more focused on focusing only on our problem. We need to work with other communities as well who have gone through the similar things and support them. So in turn, they can support us and we can all work together.
I'm going to wrap up the interview finally. Renuka, are Tamils fractured? And since you're a next generation of Tamils, how optimistic are you that you can achieve the goal that you set out to?
I definitely think that it's not going to happen in my lifetime, that we'll get Tamil ய-இலங. I definitely think that it's our goal, the generation in my age gap, that we gather the information, and we don't let the truth drop, and we don't let that flame, distinguish. That we have to keep continuously trying to get information, continuously try and talk to each other, use our skills. And I definitely think it will be the next generation who are way more stronger. And I can see that the youth in Tamil ய-இலங are...
What makes you think the next generation will be much more stronger?
We're able to see the faults with the old generation, how we're able to see, how people who were my age in 2009 got burnt out because of the internal politics. So my generation's able to escape from that. We're able to see, okay, avoid this, avoid that. And I know that the generation below me will now see my generation, okay, what are they avoiding? Why did they avoid? Okay, how can we build on that? And I definitely think it'll be the younger generation who witness our intergenerational trauma, and they'll see that, there's no point being quiet. There's no point putting a Tamil tiger on your Instagram bio and calling it a day and, just putting that one post about Muli Waikala Marvin and all. There will be people who want to keep talking about it and use their talents to spread the message. So I definitely think it's the next generation who will fully achieve Tamil ய-இலங, but it is my generation that will need to continuously try and get the information ready for them and show them the pathway and the correct form of trying to avoid the internal politics within our own community.
Kalyani, finally, are Tamils fractured?
I definitely think Tamils are fractured, and I definitely feel Renuka's generation is trying to maneuver in a way that they don't get pulled into that politics within our community. There are a lot of good people. There are a lot of Tamil people who are doing so much of good work, and it is trying to find them and who have the heart in the right place, that all of them come together and do the work. But any community it's not just Tamil community. Any community you work with, there's always issues. So it's trying not to get dragged into that and trying not to get burnt out because of that, and trying to move beyond that and look beyond that and working, I think, is important. But I think, honestly, I'm very optimistic with Renuka's generation. I honestly feel that there are a lot of younger people who are doing a lot of work, and it's important for people my age group to give them the space to do that and not to dampen their spirit and not to say, oh, we've tried that didn't work, so don't do that. No, because their time and their place is different to when we tried it. The geopolitics is different. The atmosphere is different. So it might work for them. So we need to give them the space to do that. I think that is very important.
I agree. The status quo of the world, it's much more complex than ever before. And I think it does make things much more complex from the Tamils perspective, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you could just drop everything and walk away. Just finally, Renuka, just interested to hear your view. You mentioned about your generation, and you mentioned that you're not going to see a solution in your lifetime. how are your peers, your same generation that you move with? Do they feel the same?
I don't think I move with a lot of people who feel that we will achieve a lot now, as in we will achieve a solution right now. I think they feel that there's a lot of work amongst ourselves, but they do feel that once we break through that barrier, we have achieved to the point where we're able to talk to other politicians, other groups openly and not be scared. So we have achieved that form of solution, but the full solution of Tamil won't be achieved in our generation. And they do believe that. They do believe that it's the generation ongoing that will somehow feel on the ground that they can do something great. And we will be there to support them. Because now it has been it's different in the past where there is now a greater diaspora there to support them.
I do agree. Multi-step process. It will take time. I think the day and age that we live in, social media and people want to see everything instantly. But unfortunately, life is not like that. But as Tamils, we need to show patience and dedication, put the right things into the right places. At some stage, it will pay out. It will materialize in the way that the aspiration among the Tamils will be achieved. That's all I can tell you. But I salute you for the courage that you show amongst the Tamil community. And I wish that, we can get more people like you to rally around the world to be able to speed up the process, to be able to find the pathway and then get there. I mean, as you say, yes, people are talking about genocide, crimes against humanity and human rights and all of that much more freely now, but it's just a matter of having that framework and the mechanism and the roadmap and coming together. You both agreed that the Tamils fractured, and that has to be somehow the Tamils need to come together to follow it through. So I wish you all the best and Kalyani for your endeavors, support the Tamils cause, and we'll catch up another time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.